Interesting new poll results just dropped. Take a look at this. The overwhelming majority of Americans say President-elect Joe Biden won the 2020 presidential election amid unsubstantiated cries of fraud from President Trump, according to a Reuters Ipsos poll released Tuesday. The survey, conducted from Saturday afternoon to Tuesday, showed 79% of U.S. adults believe Biden is the winner of the presidential election. Approximately 60% of Republicans said Biden won. Major news outlets called the race for Biden on Saturday afternoon after he was projected to win Pennsylvania and his 20 electoral votes. Trump has thus far refused to concede defeat, waging lawsuits in multiple battleground states. Most legal experts say these lawsuits will accomplish little to nothing, in part due to the lack of evidence presented so far. On Tuesday, Biden called Trump's refusal to concede an embarrassment. So I think they're messing up the headline a little bit here. They're burying the lead a little bit here. 79% or 80% of the country saying, yeah, the guy who won the election won the election. That's not enough, and that's not the most important part. The most important part is apparently 21% of the country says he didn't win. More importantly, 40% of Republicans say he didn't win. Almost half of Republicans, 40% of Republicans are like, no, he didn't win. Let's review. You have the election. You have in many of these states the on-the-day votes counted first, so it looks like Trump's ahead. Then the mail-ins start getting counted in a lot of these states. Biden shoots into the lead. Now you have a situation where he's going to get 306 electoral votes. Even if by some miracle there's a recount and Trump wins Georgia, then Biden still wins 290 or 291. It's not even that close. Like, yes, Biden underperformed the polls, but that's because the polls had him in a landslide with 351 electoral votes. He wins 306. He underperformed the polls, but it's still a comfortable victory. In fact, it's literally about the same size that Trump's win over Hillary was in 2016. And Trump called that a landslide when it was him. Now, Trump won the Electoral College and lost the popular vote. Biden's going to win the Electoral College and win the popular vote. Win the popular vote by about 5%. Right now, he's up like 5 million votes. He's going to be up by 5%, likely by the end of it, 4 to 5%. So, in other words, it's not even really that close. And every network called it. Because every network is going, listen, the numbers are what they are. The data is what it is. You know, they're fine with, weaving a partisan narrative over on Fox News. But when it butts up against something this stark, this reality-based, this close to home in terms of who we are as a nation, they're not going to, what are they going to do? They're going to go out there. Some of them, I guess, Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity are out there playing the game, pretending like, oh, it's not over yet. But all the other hosts, anybody who has a shred of integrity is like, obviously it's over. Who are we kidding? 40% of Republicans. 40%. 40%. Like, no, it's not over. No. Biden didn't win. I don't know what you're talking about. By the way, we found our number of TFGs. Apparently, the number of TFGs is 21% of the country, but about 40% of Republicans. Listen, hey, at least we get to say a majority of Republicans are reachable. 60% of Republicans, there's hope for. 40% of Republicans, there's no hope for. There's no getting through these people. There's no getting through to them. There's no getting through to 21% of the country. My guess is that same 21% overlaps with a bunch of other really wild beliefs. That's my guess. My guess is you probably get about the same who believe that, evolution isn't real and Adam and Eve was real. And, I'm sure it would overlap with some funky beliefs that you'd look at like, what? But there you have it. These are the numbers. And I do think that should be the headline. The headline should be 21% of the country rejects the legitimacy of the election. Or 40% of Republicans reject the legitimacy of the election. If they're not going to be convinced at this point, there's just literally nothing they would be convinced by. And it actually makes me think about how we're kind of living in a little bit of a postmodern era where there is no such thing as truth. You weave your own narrative, and as long as you push it relentlessly, you can move people on it. See, my guess is if Trump wasn't sowing doubt about the election, and he wasn't doing it from second number one relentlessly, then you'd probably have 95% of the country saying, yeah, it's over. And 5% saying, yeah, maybe not. And who knows what the hell's going on with that 5%, right? Like that they got other issues. But since Trump was sowing doubt from second number one, and he's done it relentlessly, he's moved the numbers. So you have, 40% of the Republican Party, 21% of the country. These are the whatever daddy says, I'm game for it. And there is a very deep authoritarian streak in that too, isn't there? There really is. And I do get the sense that that is something. There are authoritarian left people. They exist. But I do think that it's a little bit more baked into the cake of the right. It's a little bit more foundational to who they are. And my evidence for that actually is One America News Network. So think about it. When we talk about how, oh my God, MSNBC is not doing their job right, they're supposed to be the left network. They're not the left network. So who are the people who are outdoing MSNBC at their own game and actually being a left network? Well, me. I think of myself as on the left, and I cover news and politics, and there's other lefties online who do the same. But notice something. To out-left MSNBC, what do? We care more about policy. We care more about getting health care for everybody, labor unions, a Green New Deal, legalizing marijuana. We're more policy-based. What does it mean to outright a network? What does that mean? So there are people who look at Fox News and go, they're on the left. We don't like them. So what does One America News Network do? They're not going to the right of Fox on policy. They're going to the right of Fox in terms of how sycophantic they are to the dear leader, which is textbook authoritarianism. It's not like, oh my God, we're us here at One America News Network, we're the principled conservatives, and here's what we're fighting for on the issues. No. Their network is, oh my God, Fox is too anti-Trump. We're even more pro-Trump. So it's foundational to the right that the more you get to the Republican base, to the conservative base, the more sycophantic they are to the dear leader. The more they fall in line for the authoritarian, even when he says something like, I didn't lose the election, and he did lose the election. 40% of the Republican base, 40% of Republican voters, 21% of the country. People are like, yeah, whatever he says, I'm with him. I don't care that it's factually wrong. I'm with him. So that authoritarian streak, it's just they're extra sycophantic. They can't wait to fall in line behind an authority figure. That's what it means to outright Fox News. Again, with the left, to out-left MSNBC, all of us on YouTube who do that, we care more about policy. It's not like when Obama's president, the people who out-left MSNBC are more sycophantic to Obama. No. The people who out-left MSNBC say, why are you guys so sycophantic to Obama? You got to care about the issues. The ones going to the right of Fox News are just more sycophantic to authority, fall in line more for Donald Trump. And honestly, it's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing because then you get to some weird places, man. You get to some weird places. My guess is there's nothing that Trump could do where he would lose this 40% of the Republican base, 21% of the country. There's nothing. He could announce, we're going to do a mass extermination program of undocumented immigrants. We're going to kill them. And these people are like, shouldn't have came here. Shouldn't have came here illegally. Should have done the right thing. What are you going to do? That might sound extreme, but no, this is, if you read the book, I believe it's called Ordinary Men, they kind of explain how, yeah, you can get otherwise ordinary people to do horrendous things. If you just make it the system and make the trusted authority figures act like it's normal. I mean, again, if you're willing to just say, no, Biden didn't win. What? What are you talking about? Of course he did. No, we don't care what actually happened in the real world. They view themselves as better people the more they're subservient to the authority figure. So they think it's more moral to be like, no, Trump, the president, my daddy says this. I'm with him. 21% of the country, 40% of the Republican base. There's your TFGs. Will I be apologizing for that fact? No, because it's not me, it's them. It's not me, it's them. Sorry. It's not me, it's them. Will I have hope for the 60%? Sure. Sure, 60% of Republicans, it is possible to reach them. 40%, you ain't getting through. Doesn't matter how good your arguments are, how convincing you are, how nice you are. None of that matters. None of that matters. Because if they're the type of people who are willing to look at what unfolded and say, no, it's not over, and Biden didn't win, they will believe absolutely anything. And that's really scary.